What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Movies That Make You podcast. Season 2 is in full gear, and so we are super excited for what we got going on this season. Just to let you know what that means, we still have our weekly Prepisodes where we discuss movies to watch in preparation for a new release hitting theaters. I got my buddy POPpaGoss on those each and every week. Those drop on Mondays at 6 a.m. Also, we have our Creators Conversations. This is where we're interviewing people from the business and beyond to discuss what they do to create and how they create their art. So be on the lookout for that on YouTube. We're also doing our monthly watch-alongs where we pick a movie to watch. We live stream our conversation while we're watching the film on YouTube. This week, we're taking a break from the Star Wars month for 1 week of Mortal Kombat. We're going to have Zeke back on the show to talk about the 90s versions of those films. And then Josh and I will discuss the most recent R-rated version. And we're excited for the new one that comes out. We hope you are too. We hope you also check out our website at moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com. There you can see all of our social links. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the podcast. We also have our merch store. You can find tons of merch for Movies That Make You and our friends. We also have a link to our letterbox where you can see all the movies that we watch in preparation for the new releases, but also the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you cry, the movies that make you scream, and everything in between. So before we get to this week's episode, let's check out what we got coming up on the Movies That Make You podcast. Next week, we are back to our Star Wars month with the live action shows with Scott Raymond and Chris Valentine as we discuss all of the Disney Plus shows in preparation for The Mandalorian and Grogu hitting theaters that Friday. On May 19th, we've got an epic live stream for you guys. We're going to be jumping on around 7 p.m. Central that Tuesday night. We're going to be talking all things Frightmare, all things horror cons related, and we're super stoked. So hope you're excited. The week after that, we're finishing out our Star Wars month by talking about all the video games. So this will be the Gaming Galaxy featuring Scott Raymond and Chris Valentine back for one final episode of our Star Wars month to celebrate this great franchise. The week after that, we're going to be talking about 80s cartoons that were turned into live action movies, all in preparation for Masters of the Universe hitting theaters that Friday. We've got 2 special guests that are going to be on the episode, Cross Save Collectibles and Frog Pop Fanatic, both first-time guests. We have such a fun conversation with them around these movies. We're excited to share it with you. Hope those episodes excite you. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. We are back with the Movies That Make You podcast. I am Sprang, joined by my co-host POPpaGoss. What's up, buddy?
Yo, yo.
And we are joined again by my son, Ezekiel, or we call him Zeke. And we are here to talk about Mortal Kombat films, plus one film that inspired one of the major characters. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about the video games. And then at the end of the episode, Josh and I are going to talk about the rated R one that came out a few years ago. That's the prequel to the one that's dropping in theaters this Friday, Mortal Kombat II, featuring Johnny Cage being brought back into the fight for Earthrealm to protect him from Shao Kahn. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we hope you're excited because there's going to be a lot of special moves and a lot of finishing moves, fatalities, babalities, animalities. All the alities are happening on this episode. So
All fully clothed though. So
all fully clothed, yeah.
Yeah, no katana wear.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm confused. What? The
What?
babe
Yeah, in one of the versions of the game, they did babyalities. So instead of killing them, you turned them into a baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Babalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of jump in just because we've got a lot to talk about. But Josh, maybe do you have like something prepped for like the games and kind of where this stuff came from, or?
Yeah, so Mortal Kombat, the original game, was first made in technically 1992, and then they didn't release it until December of 93. So the first Mortal Kombat game came out in 1993. That was actually the year my brother was born. So he's 5 years younger than me. So that was a big year, 93. But yeah, they were the first game came out through Midway Games, which I was just talking before we started recording. Midway did a ton of games I played as a kid. They did like Rampage, which they made a live action movie with The Rock a couple years ago. NBA Jam, which was always a really fun one. NFL Blitz. I had that for PlayStation and I had it for an N64. Cruising USA, the racing game, they were that. If you see the Midway logo, a lot of people who listen to the show will recognize that. They still have that as a I guess, like a precursor when you play their games now. They're owned by Warner Brothers now, so they filed for bankruptcy back in like 2010, so it's been quite a while. But they went strong for Midway was a company for I believe like 58 or 60 years.
Well,
So they had a long run.
it sounds like to me that that's the curse of the home console.
Right.
Because all of those games, I mean, you grew up when home consoles were like already kind
Yeah.
of big.
Sure.
When I grew up, which was 1980, that's when I was born. We didn't, we didn't have home consoles. We had the Atari, we had the Nintendo, but it still wasn't arcade games at home. They were specific games for the consoles. You loved playing Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. You liked playing Paperboy, but it wasn't like you could go to the store and buy an arcade game and play it on your Nintendo. From what I remember, they were kind of two separate entities. And then as we got further along, they found out, oh, there's big business if we can make these games for the console, and so for the home console. And so that's when you started to see a lot of these games, Mortal Kombat being one of them. I think the first time it was on a console was probably Sega Genesis and
Yeah,
Super
Sega,
Nintendo.
Super Nintendo. Yep.
Yeah, and so that was like the next iteration of consoles because the Nintendo didn't couldn't handle that type of content from
Well, and
a
I believe Midway, they partnered throughout their reign as, like, a company, they partnered up with, the same people who made, like, Atari and stuff, so Atari, the company of
okay,
games, like, kinda had a part in bringing that to life, but it was also very I mean, it was very controversial, kinda like, the only other time I remember video games being talked about so much by parents and stuff was, like, Grand Theft Auto 3 when that came out for, like, PS2,
yeah,
and I mean, the graphics weren't even as crazy as they are now, but that was like those 2 games, like Mortal Kombat, Twisted Metal, I would probably throw in there. It was a little violent.
mhm,
Um, but like Street Fighter came out in '92 for the Super Nintendo, and that game had fighting, but it wasn't like bloody and gory and stuff. Mortal Kombat, they used a technique at the time that, ended up becoming kind of like motion capture, and they had like actual actors on the screen somehow
mhm,
portraying the characters. But it was very controversial with all the fatalities and the blood, and I mean, back then it wasn't as graphic as that it's become. But I just
yeah,
remember, it was talked about a lot, like with my friends' parents and stuff. Like they
mhm,
were like, "Yeah, you guys shouldn't be playing those games," and
yeah.
they were just very violent. So
I wasn't allowed to play it.
yeah, I mean,
I
they
wasn't
were
allowed to own it. But and to the point of the graphics, what they did, and I've seen recent clips of this, but they basically shot pictures of the characters, or they took like kind of frames of the video of the different people doing the moves for the game, and then they used that as the digital image instead of an 8-bit image. They used this kind of graphical image of a human being doing it, and so it looked realistic. Now the movements didn't look realistic. It still looked like
right.
a digital, like weird, like robot movements. But at the time, it was visually appealing and kind of wow, I've never seen that before. And 100% the blood and the gore was nothing we'd ever encountered before on a console, let alone at home. Um, but like the biggest thing that everybody talked about with the game when it came out and even to this day is like Street Fighter, there's best of 3 rounds. So the person that wins 2 rounds first wins the match, and then at the end of defeating him the second round, the announcer comes on and a graphic comes on that says finish him. And then there was a combination of buttons and movements that you could do with each character. Each character probably only had 1 or 2 in the first game. As the games progressed, they ended up getting more and more different fatalities. But that was the big draw to the game, was trying to figure out those fatalities. And we didn't have the internet really to kind of tell us those moves. We had to like ask people at the arcade. We had to like ask friends and figure it out, or just start moving stuff around and go, oh, I did it, and
Yeah.
it was
Well,
crazy.
they
Like
used to come with the little booklets, like, inside
in the
that would
console game, yeah.
sometimes have the moves on them. And
Yeah.
then, back then, video games, not just Mortal Kombat, but video games in general, I know a big thing was, like, buying those big books, like,
Mhm.
playthrough books. And it's funny, I saw recently, I saw a story on, Facebook or something, and, a lot of those old books are, like, going for a lot of money now because people, they don't make those anymore, like, at GameStop and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy, and they've made 24 total Mortal Kombat games, 12 main, like, main focus Mortal Kombat games, and then they did, like, 13 spin-off games as well.
Interesting.
So, yeah, there's, like, I think, and then there's all the collector's edition ones that came out later, and then obviously, t the last, I don't know, I think the last 2 that came out, you were able to get, unlockable players from, like, horror franchises like
Mhm.
Ghostface and,
Michael
Leatherface
Myers
and
and
Robert and, Freddy Krueger and stuff, so, like, that
American
was
Psycho.
a way to introduce,
yeah.
people to that didn't really play the games, like, the horror fans were like, "Oh, I wanna play that, I wanna play as
Yeah.
Michael Myers," or whatever, so that
And
was
I
kind of
think
a cool touch.
and one of them had,
Oh,
Arnold
yeah, the
Schwarzenegger in
Terminator,
yeah,
yeah.
the Terminator, as one of the things. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, speaking of like old Nintendo console, they had this like virtual like headset where you had to like sit down and just like it would be like this and just it would be fixed and you couldn't like move it around like this.
Oh, it's probably Virtual Boy
Yeah, they
by
brought
Nintendo.
They
they
brought
brought
that
that
back?
back.
Wow.
Nice.
And it's
Yeah,
as
that
durable as
came out when I was your age. That was a
Yeah.
big deal too because we didn't have any, I mean, the graphics weren't anything crazy, but, I never had a Virtual Boy. My friends had one, and, so I got to play it at their house, but, I remember when those came out, it was like a huge deal.
Was it delayed?
Yeah, I mean,
It was lag.
it was more like red. It wasn't like the virtual stuff we have today where it's like,
Yeah, definitely
you feel
red.
like you're in a realistic thing. It was like it just was cool because you put it on your eyes instead of
Mhm.
like playing it on a TV set, so
And
everybody went wild for that.
that kinda reminds me of the glove also,
Oh,
because
yeah,
Nintendo had the
yeah.
Power Glove,
The Power Glove, yeah.
which I think we forgot to mention on our Nintendo episode when we were
Yeah.
talking for Mario
No, I
Galaxy.
think we
Did we
talked
talk
about
about it?
it for just a
Yeah,
second, yeah.
Hey,
but that was that one scene that the Power Glove I never actually got to play on a Power Glove, but
yeah. The 8-bit Christmas.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Power
Pretty
Glove came
cool.
out in October of 1989, so
Nice.
I was
So
1.
right in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
No, they always were good at that, the marketing for any of, like, the Super Nintendo. Like, my parents bought my brother and I a Super Nintendo when we were kids, and then it was funny because they ended up playing it more than we did. Like, I
Nice.
remember my parents used to stay up and play, like, Super Mario World, and they would the next morning, I would come out and, like, they beat all the levels for us so we could so we
Yeah, so you
could
could just go
play it.
play,
I
yeah.
was like, "Did you guys played all that? That's crazy."
Yeah, so speaking of, the Super Nintendo was my first console I bought myself. So I had gotten a Nintendo at some point, probably for Christmas, and then I had gathered up all the games that I had and played and loved. And then there was the Super Nintendo came out and Street Fighter 2. Probably not the same year it came out, but like I wanted to get Street Fighter 2, and so I we had a garage sale and I sold my entire like Nintendo everything, all the games, console, everything I had for probably $100 or something, but it was
Right.
enough plus some other toys. It was enough to go to the Walmart and buy I might have been Kmart at that point.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
probably was Kmart, I
yeah,
remember doing that.
uh,
Korean market?
and I bought no, it's just called Kmart, not the Kmart that we know from
Yeah, Kmart was like a huge it was on the level of not quite as big as Walmart, but it was just like Walmart, but, like, even cheaper, if you can believe that.
yeah.
Most of them had Little Caesars inside. Little
Mhm.
Caesars Pizza was, like,
Basically Fuel
the
City,
main
right?
sponsor.
Oh, I've got the wrong graphic up here, bro.
Not Spielberg Invasion.
Finish.
I think I hit it with my elbow.
Oh, you're good.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and I so then when so I got Street Fighter 2 for the Super Nintendo when I bought that. And then for my like graduating high school, I got a bunch of money from family and friends, and I bought a PlayStation 1 and Mortal Kombat 4 for the console. And so that was the first Mortal Kombat game I ever owned, and played that in college. And of course, when I got the book, or it came with the booklet or whatever, or you could pause and see all the moves. Like
Right.
that was a thing, and that was the thing you couldn't do at the arcade. You were just kind of stuck with like either learning it, and I don't remember if they ever put the finishing moves like on the side or anything. I don't think they did.
Yeah, some games did, but I don't
Yeah.
remember. It's been so long.
So there was always this kind of thing that you weren't supposed to play it, or you weren't supposed. It had that factor of like, this is something I shouldn't be allowed to play, but I'm playing it, and it just feels, invigorating. And to do those finishing moves was crazy. And I think the only one there's two that I know from the original game, and that was Scorpion would take off his mask and breathe fire and burn his opponent to a pile of dust. And then the other one, which was grosser, is that Sub-Zero would freeze the person and then uppercut them and hold their head, because he
Yeah.
ripped their head off with his spinal cord still attached and
Yeah.
held it up.
Sounds disgusting. I
Yeah.
should
Yeah,
not
it's
be here for
pretty
this. I'm
extreme.
leaving. Goodbye.
Yep.
They've become
Going
they've become like more and more insane. It's pretty
Yeah.
nuts.
for sure. Yes. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, that last part kind of freaked
Oh,
me out a
Zeke,
bit.
what's up, man?
Hey, man, my first time here. Totally.
Nice. Welcome to the show.
So, I mean, that's a little bit about the game. Now, I will say, one of the things that company has now done is, because they own the DC rights, Warner Brothers owns DC, they also have created Injustice and Injustice 2, which is basically the Mortal Kombat fighting mechanics, but with DC characters, and it's
Yeah.
less gory. It's
Super fun. Yeah.
It's T instead of M.
Right.
But it still has all the same kind of like special moves and finishing moves, but they're just not as gory.
I think
And
they
so,
did
mean, it
didn't they do
has.
a crossover game too? I think they
well,
did like a DC and Mortal Kombat
you
crossover
can
game.
you can unlock Sub-Zero and Scorpion in Injustice. I don't know if there's a crossover.
Oh yeah,
game.
no, in 2008 they did they released it because I remember at the video store it came
Okay.
out, but it was Mortal Kombat versus the DC universe.
Wow.
And it
I
was
like
for
that.
PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but it came out in 2008. And it was pretty well received from what I remember, but I don't know. I think I played it. Shout out to my buddy back in Colorado, Ray. We worked at the video store together, and he is the most diehard Mortal Kombat. Like his son is named Raiden.
Wow.
He
Oh my
used to
god.
play in tournaments like when I lived in Colorado. And he is I mean, he's so good at Mortal Kombat because he's been playing it since he was a kid. So, but yeah, we used to play the DC one, the regular Mortal Kombat. I mean, I got lucky a couple of times, but I usually when I played him, I never won because he knew all the cheat stick code modes. And
Yeah.
I was like, I suck at these. He was good at all video games, though. I'm just not. I'm not
Yeah.
I enjoy playing video games, but I'm not like good,
Yeah.
even if I play them for like Call of Duty.
Right. Yeah.
He
Same.
played Call of Duty like professionally when I lived there on a team, and he was
That's
I
wild.
mean, watching him play was incredible. I was like, man, I can't I can't, I would hide. I'd like go hide and then wait for people to, so I could see what they were doing.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, man, they're too quick. I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't change my stuff. So yeah, I had fun, but yeah, he's like, come on, play. I was like, I am playing. I'm just not very good.
Yeah.
I am very good at first-person shooters. Just saying.
I bet.
What do you play? What
What's your
first-person
favorite?
shooters?
Not Call of Duty. I'm joking. I don't play Call of Duty. I don't.
What game do you play?
I I normally play like Roblox first-person shooters. In this one game, I'm a sniper, and I snipe people from like 10 feet away.
Nice.
Nice.
Only
We
10
used
feet.
to on Halo. I think it was Halo 3 ODST. My brother, we used to have game nights at my brother's house in Aurora,
Nice.
Colorado. And we used to turn, you used to be able to, on Halo, you could, when you played multiplayer against each other, you could turn the gravity off. So you guys, when you jumped, you just would like kind of float real slow. And
Nice.
so we'd play no gravity with snipers only. So that was the only weapon. And so it was like near impossible because you'd be going so slow, but we would probably play for 2 hours and then we'd finally just give up because like whoever had 2 kills was the winner. We're like, man, we're gonna be playing forever, but it was
Yeah.
fun.
Wow.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
played some Halo, but I'm not great at those
Yeah.
shooters.
I just
Well,
had fun with it.
Yeah.
I didn't take it serious. It never hurt my feelings when my friend they're like, "Come on, man," or like I hated playing on. I liked playing online, but I would always mute the people on there because like they were annoying, and I was like, I don't really care. Like they'd be like, "Dude, this guy sucks on our team." I was like, I know I suck, but I'm just playing for
I'm
fun.
here. Yeah,
I'm like, "Do you want an extra teammate?" I'll just sit in the corner. That's fine.
yeah. Nice. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean that gives us a nice little rundown of the games and where the source material came from for the movie. There's one precursor to Mortal Kombat that I came across recently, and that was the movie Big Trouble in Little China, because there is a character in Big Trouble in Little China that is said to be the inspiration for Raiden. And they're basically a trio of these kind of demons that's working for the main bad guy, and they're coming after the all the things. So it's just a wild and crazy movie. Do you want to give a rundown of Big Trouble? I know you probably have more experience with it because I just watched it for the
Yeah,
first.
no, it's definitely like it's one of the most like cult classic movies of the 80s. Like if you read any article by a cinephile or whatever, it didn't do well when it came out in the theaters. It came out it came out 2 weeks before Aliens, which like was I think that was a big reason why it didn't do very well because I mean, people were so hyped for the sequel, James Cameron, all that
Mhm.
stuff. So that kind of took over. And then also Carpenter said later on, like in the commentaries or something for Big Trouble, that the studio they did really well on the test screenings, and him and Kurt Russell thought the movie was going to be massive at the box office, like because the test screenings were through the roof. And then the studio didn't really market it at all. They didn't like spend extra money, so it just kind of came out through 20th Century Fox, and they just didn't do very well. But then the age of home video was kind of hitting big at the end of the 80s, mid 80s to late 80s, and so like they capitalized on that. So people were buying the VHS and renting it from Blockbuster and taking it home and just like falling in love with this movie. And there's not only Raiden there's inspiration from Big Trouble, but uh what's the Mortal Kombat character's name? Shang Tsung, or what, the
Okay.
guy who takes the souls. He
Yeah.
was inspired by Folon,
Okay.
played by James Hong,
Mm-hmm.
who passed away recently. But yeah, so there's a couple of inspirations for Mortal Kombat, and I can't help but wonder. I went back and rewatched it. I've seen it a few times, but I went back and rewatched it this past week for this episode, and I was getting a lot of in my head, Stephen Chow, that director and actor, he did like Kung Fu Hustle and
Mm-hmm.
Shaolin Soccer and stuff. I got some vibes because like Big Trouble, it is serious at times, but like a lot of the martial arts and stuff is kind of not like cheesy, but like it's done in a silly manner, but it's really cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help, I didn't find anything to back that up that Stephen Chow was like inspired by the movie. But a lot of his movies, if you especially like Kung Fu Hustle, that's just like pure. I mean, it's a comedy, but with martial arts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't help but some of the scenes in Big Trouble reminded me a lot of like a Stephen Chow or Journey to the West was a later Stephen Chow movie that was also same thing, it was real goofy and but done in a cool manner. So it's really cool. But this was the 5th film that Kurt Russell and John Carpenter worked on over their career so far. They obviously my all-time favorite movie, The Thing. Had already done that one. A similar scenario too. It didn't do well the box office, and then it just crushed and became one of the greatest horror movies of all time. He did Elvis. That was the first movie he did with Carpenter in 1979. So he portrayed Elvis in that. And then obviously Escape from New York, Escape from
Mhm.
LA. Um, and I think, yeah, those are, yeah. And then
Yeah.
Big Trouble. But yeah, it's super fun. I mean, Jackie Chan was originally supposed to, well, he wasn't signed on to play, but Carpenter told the studio he wanted Jackie Chan for, what's the character's name? Wang Chi.
Okay.
Or
Like his buddy that he kind of pairs up
yeah,
with.
so like his like
Yeah.
sidekick. So Jackie Chan was originally supposed that's what John Carpenter who he wanted, and the studio didn't something about the English barrier at the time because Jackie Chan was more known for foreign films, obviously. And then and he ended up turning down the movie anyway. So they went with Dennis Dunn ended up playing him.
Mhm.
Kim Cattrall was in was
Yeah.
the starring actress in this movie. So it's kind of fun to go back and see her because all our audience probably knows her best from Sex and the City, or she was also in Mannequin, which was
Mhm.
like another 80s film that was really popular later on. But yeah, like Sprang was saying, the Three Storms is what they were called, but you can totally see Raiden's
Mhm.
inspiration from that. Um, which is really cool because like they the blue lightning and they wear the kind of bull their hats are a little bit bigger and not quite as like saucer looking, but like it's still they kind of like their introduction in the movie is almost identical to how Raiden enters the games and stuff like that. And then the studio actually didn't want Kurt Russell originally. They wanted Clint Eastwood or Jack Nicholson, which are both completely opposite. Well, all
Mhm.
three of those guys are complete opposite actors of what their talents are. But Carpenter had Kurt Russell in mind pretty much the whole time. And he'd already obviously worked with him, so he knew he would be good for it. And he originally wanted it to be a Western. So John Carpenter he ended up setting it in modern day at the time, but he originally wanted it to be a Western. And instead of them stealing Jack Burton, the main character's truck, they wanted him to steal like his horse, and
Okay.
then it was going to be like a Western because Carpenter, most of those big directors they grew up they loved, Rio Bravo and all the Sergio Leone movies and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So he kind of was inspired to do something similar to that with Big Trouble. And then he ended up switching it last second to more modern version of it. But yeah, it's a fun one. It's got some, it is silly at times. There's some like ridiculous special effects and stuff, but they're awesome. If you go back and watch it, it's just such a fun movie. Like you can tell they had a great time. And one last thing, Carpenter wanted the reason he cast the main character as a white man was because he thought he would make him like a kind of like a bumbling idiot, and and then he'd have his sidekick kind of like outperform him, but
Mhm.
he would be an international person.
Yeah.
So he wanted to go against the stereotype that they normally would do for those movies. So they did it in that fashion because Carpenter wanted it to be that way instead of how it normally was, which I
Yeah.
thought was pretty cool. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fun one. So go check it out if you get a chance.
Absolutely. So before we watched it, I told Zeke to keep an eye out for which of these people in this movie do you think inspired a character in Mortal Kombat?
No, don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Yes, I'm gonna tell him. So we're watching it, and I see the lightning samurai come on, thing, and I'm looking over at him, and no response, nothing at all. All right. So then we're just watching more, and then about 10 minutes later, he goes, "I bet Jack Burton was inspiration for Johnny Cage. That's probably what it was." And I was like, I just paused and I said, "Are you serious? You think that's the connection?"
I thought you meant in like the mindset.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I thought you meant like as like a mindset, as like I'm gonna say stuff,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be
Yeah.
like Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
No, I
Not
mean,
like
yeah,
because the
you know
lighting
what? And
samurai
it,
didn't talk.
That's
yeah,
true.
and you know
That's true.
what? He definitely could be. I mean, I haven't read that was like one of the characters that was an inspiration, but I mean, there's a lot of similarities with Jack
Mhm.
Burton. I mean, I could
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the obvious
So,
one would
the
have
obvious
obviously
one
been
is
Raiden, but
Raiden. The lightning
Who
god.
has the aim of a stormtrooper?
He did say that in
he
one of
does.
the
Yeah.
there was that was hilarious. So before I go,
He does?
what's some of the thoughts, your thoughts on the movie, Zeke?
Extremely cheesy.
Mhm.
Samurai and the gunfight in Chinatown, gang fights were cool. I hate. Hold on, wait, no, I don't hate how that happens. I think it's very cheesy, how like the eyeballs pop out, and then it turns inward, and then the statue like on a wall turns inwards, and then she looks in it and is like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "It's obviously a scary monster. What are you doing?"
Yeah. She's like, they're trying to escape this building, and she pauses to check out the scenery. Yeah.
And I'm like, "You're gonna get captured."
And then she got captured. Everybody else has left her behind, and she's stuck by that. Now, I will say that that monster came out of nowhere. I wasn't like, it's like the whole
Yeah.
movie is like humans, and of course we got the demons and the whatever you want to call them. But that's still kind of in the realm of like,
Hobbit.
this is a deal. This is okay. This is what this movie is. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the hallway opens up, and there's a big rat monster looking like it grabs her and takes her. And,
Looking like a hobbit mixed with a demon, baby.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything else that you liked about the movie?
I enjoyed how like our conversation where it was like about the Johnny Cade and the guy. I loved how you were like, it's obviously the lightning scary guy is obviously Johnny Cade, right? And I'm like,
Raiden.
it's obviously Raiden, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I never said this, but I'm like in my mind, and I'm like, I thought you were talking about personality.
Okay. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
And I love how like I come up with a very extremely witty move of saying, "Oh yeah, the lightning guy is obviously Johnny Cade." Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, you know it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this.
Everyone knows it.
Lightning guy was based off of Johnny Cade. Johnny Cade was based off of lightning guy. I don't know. I just know someone's based off who.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I wrote down was Kurt Russell seems to be doing a little bit of a John Wayne impression with the way he's talking. And so
Yep.
that kind of, when you say Western, I wonder if that was kind of direction by John Carpenter, like, hey, this is what we're going for. And so
No, you're spot on. That's
Yeah.
that's actually what Carpenter said in one of the commentaries. He said he was kind of envisioning. Actually, I think Kurt Russell was envisioning.
Okay.
Like he watched a lot of John Wayne stuff to get
Yeah.
inspired to play the character. So
Yeah. It was spot on. I'll say too, like I mean, Kurt Russell, it's crazy that he's been 5 movies with him. He still feels like there's this kind of franticness that he plays in this role. It reminds me of Jeff Bridges in Tron, when it's like in
right.
Tron, it's like he's just manic. He's just all energy, and it's all like in your face the entire like movie. And then you get later, and he's like got this subtlety, and he's got this calmness, and he's dude, and and it's just like, but early on, and kind of also probably like Brad Pitt, like his early stuff, like before Seven, he's in something he's a lot more like frantic and just high energy. And this one kind of reminded me of that, but it's the fact that it was still like not just 5 movies in for his career, just 5 movies with John Carpenter, and I'm sure he had other movies in between too. But he still is probably that young, energetic actor, and he's kind of playing into that. One of the things I wondered too is that I don't know how those audiences would have accepted it. I know for me watching it for the first time in 2026, I felt like that some of the exposition and dialogue was the things that spoof movies use as like the blueprint. you know, and I
Yeah.
think he probably did it. I think it was probably on purpose, but I don't know if the 80 whatever that audience would have understood that no, we're kind of making this isn't like to be taken seriously. The one line I remember that threw me was like, "Oh, you're going there? That's the most dangerous gang location in all the city. You better not." You know, it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're like, it seemed like, especially early on, there was like these little one-liners that were like holding like the major plot points of the film of like why
Right.
this is something we should avoid or why. And so it's just kind of, but I think it was probably, it was supposed to be more slapstick and more fun.
For
The
sure.
action is serious, and really well done. I thought the visual effects were great, and all that. But that was just kind of something I made note of. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie, and like I said, watching it for the first time, Zeke watching it for the first time, we both enjoyed ourselves. We had a blast watching it.
Raiden
Um,
has the aim of a stormtrooper.
yep, the rating character, yeah, for sure.
Like, you had like 3 chances, and he was like, "Oh, over there," and then he's like, "Clearly over here," and he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, over there."
Maybe he
Oh,
just needed contacts or
oh,
something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's probably,
over there. So we, yeah,
yeah.
He
definitely.
needed glasses.
He needed glasses. Yeah,
Mm.
well, cool. Yeah, so definitely check out Big Trouble in Little China if you haven't seen it. It's a great movie. Let's move
Viva la
on.
John Carpenter.
That's right. I knew you would
Wait,
bring
let's
it.
move on to what? Mortal Kombat.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Zeke, for giving us the soundbite. 1996, the first Mortal Kombat film comes out, and it is like amazing. Everybody like just goes crazy for this movie. It makes a ton of money, I'm sure. We're gonna hear more about that from the backlot breakdown with Josh later. But yeah, for me, like Mortal Kombat was amazing. It was great. I felt like that it's basically, you take a game that's just a fighting tournament, you've got to spell some sort of story to make these characters have to do something. And so it builds out, and I don't know how close to the game it was, but it's the Earth realm versus the demon realm, and they're having to fight in this tournament to stop the Shao Kahn and stop the bad guys from taking over the whole world, and Earth being basically combined with, I guess that was the second one, but it's similar. The Earth world being eliminated and it just being the underworld. So lots of good stuff. Like all the characters that you love from the game make an appearance in the movie. Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Jax has a small appearance, but then he's more involved in Annihilation. Sonya Blade, Kano, like
Katana.
Katana, pretty much the entire first game, maybe even the second game, because I think some of those weren't involved in the first game, but lots of fun. And the acting isn't really great. The fighting by the actors isn't really great, but Liu Kang is great, and all of the kind of the stunt fighting is great in those scenes. Um, I thought Christopher Lambert played Raiden, and he talked like he was still in Skarsgård, like in Thor 2. Like that's what I'm getting this
Yeah.
vibe. Not to go to another lightning character, but I kind of got that vibe in the way that he was delivering his lines. And then there's this moment where the last fight scene of Liu Kang and realizing he's the chosen one, I got Matrix vibes, like that kind of
Yeah.
like he finally realizes it and now he's gonna win the battle. So that's just kind of my take on the first movie. What about you, Zeke?
Wait, that didn't happen until the second one. Never mind. Never mind.
Well, you got to say something about the first movie.
Okay, all right.
That's a good a younger person's response
I
to Mortal
thought it.
Kombat 1994.
Nah,
I got nothing.
I
Sorry.
got nothing. Sorry. Animation was corny.
that
Yeah.
is true.
No, for sure.
The puppet, you could like the puppet was really realistic.
The Goro.
It's
Yeah,
like,
I think
their
Goro was like
goal-
the best visual
Yeah.
effect they did in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like their goal is to make it seem realistic. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Yeah.
I remember I see on like Dad's notes is that Black guy is the one that died, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, the soldier, black soldier was the
yeah.
black fighter is the first one to be
Yeah.
finished. And I'm like, of course, the trope of the
Right.
90s horror
I
film.
know, and that dude was like more ripped than all the actors combined. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way that guy just died first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that
I
you
thought the
liked?
finisher with for Johnny Cage with his like autographed with his glasses was like awesome.
Nice.
What is the finisher in the game?
That's it. He signs
Yeah.
a photograph.
Yeah, because he's like he's a movie star.
Yeah, he signs a
Yeah.
photograph, then he just lays it on the ground and it burns.
I don't remember.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like, is his finisher like what are like the actions in his finisher? Does he punch? Does he kick?
I don't remember, buddy.
You don't?
No.
Yeah, I haven't played it in a long time, but
he signs a picture of himself and then smiles at the camera.
yeah, I'll definitely say his moves were not as epic as some, like Sub-Zero or Scorpion or
Like
any of the people who
Sub-Zero.
had actual like weapons. Like all he could do is like fight. That was all Johnny Cage could do. So
Yeah, would definitely lose against Sub-Zero.
oh yeah,
definitely.
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, let's jump to the backlot breakdown with Mr. POPpaGoss. What you got, buddy?
Oh man, so going back and rewatching this one, when this movie came out, I remember I was just talking to my wife about it, and I remember like everyone was talking about it at school. Like you could order it on pay-per-view back then. Like pay-per-view was like the only way. Like we didn't have streaming, so like for $10.99 or whatever, you could buy a movie that just came out of the theaters. So I remember all my friends were talking about Mortal Kombat. And so everyone was doing that in the hallways at school. It was a huge deal. And they made it PG-13, obviously. So like, a lot of the kids my age, we could go watch it with our parents as long as they went with us. And it wasn't super gory or anything. I mean, the fight sequences were a little scary sometimes with like taking the souls out and all that. But overall,
that reminded me more of like Indiana Jones and
it had a lot of that feel.
Right? It's just that.
Yeah, Kerry Tagawa, I probably said his name wrong, but he played Shang Tsung in that, which was what Lo Fan inspired apparently. But yeah, Chris, it's funny. Sean Connery was originally supposed to be Raiden, and then something happened. I think he had he just didn't want to do it, I think is what I read. And then it's funny because Lambert got cast and they were in Highlander together. So it's kind of a weird scenario where they like flip-flopped the role.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz was originally supposed to be Sonya Blade. Like she was signed on to do everything. And then she hurt her wrist in the train because a lot of the actors and actresses in the movie, they did all the martial arts like for real. Like it's not great and it's not super accurate. Like all their moves aren't super well. They're not smooth, I should say. But they are all doing them themselves. So she was replaced by Bridget Wilson, Sampras, who's married to Pete Sampras, the famous tennis player.
Veronica Vaughn.
And well, I remember her from Billy Madison because that's one of my favorite movies. That's definitely one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies of all time. So a lot of people, our audience, will remember her from that. But she auditioned. She really wanted the role of Sonya Blade. She auditioned, I think, like 6 or 7 times total just to get the role.
Nobody said it.
Oh yeah, sorry, I set that
I'm
up.
turning
I
off
set
your
it up.
microphone, mister.
And then Johnny Cage, his character was actually based off of Jean-Claude Van Damme, like all his the big martial arts movie star, and but they but it's funny because he was actually supposed to be Johnny Cage and he turned it down to go do Street Fighter, the rival of Mortal Kombat. So I just think that's really funny. And then apparently Steven Spielberg he's a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat game. He plays video games, I guess. And so he was originally supposed to make in that beginning of the movie when Johnny Cage is on movie set, and that's why that director looks like Steven Spielberg, because it was originally supposed to be Spielberg as a cameo. but he had another movie to go do or something, so he couldn't go do it. Um, Ed Boon, the co-creator of the games Mortal Kombat, he's the voice of Scorpion in the movie, the first
Nice.
movie. Um, Also, the guy who did all the martial arts for Sub-Zero in the movie, I don't know how you say his name, Francois Petit, I think. He's at the time he was one of the highest ranked like martial artists in the whole world. So
That's cool.
he did all the martial arts stuff for Sub-Zero. And then, well, one last thing. This was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who says he's sick entire like he had for years has always been, especially as Paul Thomas Anderson has gotten bigger and bigger. He always gets mistaken for people come up to him, I guess, and they like ask him questions about Paul Thomas Anderson
Yeah.
movies, and he's like, I'm not that Paul Thomas, I'm not that Paul
Paul
Anderson.
Anderson.
And also he is the Paul W.S. Anderson is married to Mila Jovovich in real life.
Okay.
They have, I think, 3 kids together. They've still been married, so that's why Mila Jovovich is in like almost all his movies that he directs. He did the remake of Three Musketeers. She was in that. He did 3 or 4 of the Resident Evil movies, including the first one, and that's why Mila's in that. Um, and he was supposed to do Mortal Kombat Annihilation, but he turned it down. And then after the movie came out, he was really disappointed because it was really bad, and it was not well received. So he didn't get to do it. But he's done some cool movies. Besides the Resident Evil ones, he did the probably his most notable that got a lot of praise. And it's considered a cult classic is Event Horizon with Lawrence
Yeah.
Fishburne.
Great.
Really awesome sci-fi horror. Really messes with your head and stuff. But he
Mhm.
directed that movie, so that's a cool one. But yeah, Paul W.S. Anderson, the husband of Mila Jovovich,
Yeah.
directed the first Mortal Kombat in the 90s. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Well, I mean, it really was a fun ride. It definitely still has its cheesy moments, obviously. But I feel like it knows it. It feels like it doesn't
yeah,
feel like it's by mistake. It feels like it's yeah, we know what we're doing here. One of the other things I remember is that the actor that played Shin Sung, and the actor played Liu Kang, they had talked on set. I remember there was an interview. They had talked on set and they talked about how much more realistic and energetic it would be if they actually did hit each other
yeah,
instead of just faking it because they're like with a controlled punch. I remember that specific quote with a controlled punch, but like they really did want to like do something great with this film. It wasn't just a throwaway film for them. None of the actors in this were like trying to make a bad movie or
right.
trying to make a. They weren't like saying, "Oh, this is going to be a just a silly dumb movie." They're like, no, this is a fighting movie. It's one of the best fighting games around. It's got all these people. We need to do it justice. And so I have to respect that. And I feel like that they did a good job delivering on that in the first one for sure. So
Yeah, Robin Shou, who played Liu Kang, he was, I mean, he was an experienced I mean, he did all his own stuff, and he mostly, I mean, he got kind of typecasted a lot back in the 90s, but I always remember him not from just Mortal Kombat, but he was Chris Farley's brother in Beverly Hills
Beverly Hills
Ninja,
Ninja.
which I think is one of the funnest. Christian apparently one of Christian Bale's favorite movie. He thinks that's the best movie that's ever been made.
That's awesome.
So that's coming from an actor like Christian Bale. That's crazy, but yeah,
Yeah.
Robin Shou is in. I mean, he's always been in ridiculous shape too. So
Hmm.
they nailed the character. I mean, all the
Yeah.
characters had the look from the game, and
Hmm.
we didn't have a lot of high tech stuff in the old games in the 90s, so, like,
Yeah.
people they loved it when it came out. I remember it was a huge deal, and it's still, it's gotten some, physical media release recently, so, like, people still love it.
Yeah.
It is fun. It was fun to go back and rewatch it again, but in my head, I was like, "Man, I remember this movie was so cool when I was a
Yeah.
kid," and now I'm like, "Man, they're not good." The lines are cheesy and
Yeah.
it's bad, but yeah, it's fun. It's a fun
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. that cannot be said for its sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Mortal Kombat!
Annihilation's what it did to the fan base. But
Annihilation!
It 100% did that. I will have to say that the ending of the first movie was a huge cliffhanger. They win the tournament, everything goes back to normal, and then all of a sudden the portal opens up, demons start coming out, and they all have to stand and fight again, and that's how the movie ends.
Someone is keeping it open.
Yep, someone
It's
is
the
keeping.
producers.
Nice. But the second film, Annihilation, picks up right there, and they have a battle, and then they basically have to do it all over again. They don't understand why. Come to find out, the gods that are in charge of it are like, one of the gods is being, or demigods or whatever, is like holding it open for the bad guys to take over the world and basically combine their worlds. We have basically only like 3 or 4 actors actually reprised their roles. The rest of them are recast, including Christopher Lambert. We got Dexter's dad is playing Raiden now.
James Remar.
Yeah.
Dexter's dad?
Yep. There's a show called Dexter, and he plays the dad's dad.
Oh.
And he's in the movie. Yeah. That's how it works. Dads, and Dexter's. Cool. Yeah, and then of course Sonya Blade didn't come back.
Yeah.
I think Jax is recast as well. He has a more prominent role in this movie than he did in the first movie. And then we've got Sub-Zero's back, but now he's good, like he's trying to help him, but he's actually like the brother or something of the original Sub-Zero. Anyway, there's it's just the graphics go super bad, awful, like worse than Spy Kids 3D graphics, and that's saying something. They introduce animalities, which looks super cheesy. There's a big fight at the end that's just awful. So yeah, it just was unfortunately not a great sequel to an amazing, fun, original. But I felt like, I'll say a couple positives. One is I feel like that the actress that they did cast and the actors that they did cast were better suited for the combat. They felt more realistic to when they were fighting. It looked real. It didn't look super staged or kind of slow or anything. They did a great job with that. And the actors took it seriously as best as they could. So there's something to be said for that. One other negative is I felt like that it was very misogynistic. There's some lines in it that were like little like degrading. And then they didn't, like, she commented on it like, really, you're gonna say that? And then he doubled down and like said it again, and it's like, what? Like you're well enough, like you're knowledgeable enough as a screenwriter to know he shouldn't say this line because you're gonna have the female character comment on, like, that's not a great thing to say to me, but then you're just gonna double down and have the character say it again. So anyway, I thought that was a little bit off-putting for me, but
Yeah.
but it was it was another fighting movie. There were some fight scenes that were good. They introduced some more characters. But yeah, like it was just a really, really poor sequel. So Zeke, what do you got?
This movie can be explained in the short I watched, where it was like, would you like some cheese on your grilled cheese, sir? Yes, of course. Would you like some cheese in your tomato soup, sir? Yes, definitely. Would you like some cheese in your water, sir? Why? Why, yes. And after that, could you just pour it straight into my mouth?
So we're just getting all the cheese.
The
everywhere.
palate.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
You
really
gotta
cheese.
you got a dirty palate with just cheese and water.
Just straight up cheese the whole movie. I get
Yep.
it.
Cheese on grilled cheese is
That's
the
good.
real
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't have, I mean, here's another thing I thought was, while the graphics weren't great, there were some good concepts that they did. The one scene at the end, as they were trying to show the combining of our world and the other world, is that outer world, I think is what they called it. So I apologize, I've not gotten that right. But
Oh, you're good.
the Golden Gate Bridge moment where you see it kind of in this dark, being taken over by the dark. You see the Eiffel Tower And then I think you see the twin towers from New York. Um, you know, so you see these three iconic visual things in our world being kind of darkened. And so I thought it wasn't great the graphics; they were bad. But conceptually, I was like, this is a cool way to try and show that and to give us those iconic images. But yeah, I really found it hard to believe that they actually released this movie in theaters with the CGI as bad as it was.
Oh, yeah.
So
No. Well, and I remember, like, I don't remember hearing people talking about, I mean, back then you read reviews in like the newspaper, or I mean, I think Google wasn't around yet. I think we had like the AOL had like a news source thing. So you could read stuff on there, or like there were certain websites that had just launched at the time, like I think it was like JoBlo.com, and they
Alta
had just a
Vista,
bunch of movie sites that you could
yeah,
read just the horrible, news that about movies that were bad or good or whatever kind of news you wanted to find. So
It got a
yeah,
negative 100% on Rotten
a
Tomatoes.
negative 100%.
yeah, well, and I mean, Rotten Tomatoes was around then, but it was not as, like, prominent, like, nobody
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, I gotta go see what Rotten Tomatoes says about a movie," like, that didn't happen in the '90s. It was around, but, like, I think it was just getting launched, so, but not a great not a great movie at all, but it's
Yeah,
alright.
for sure. Any backlot breakdown for this one?
Yeah, I got a couple things. So this one, obviously was not done by Paul W.S. Anderson. This was done by John Leonetti. He did not a lot of well-known things in his career. He did the sequel to Butterfly Effect,
Okay.
which I never saw. I saw the first one. I just didn't see the other two sequels, but he did do the first Annabelle movie, which was not terrible. And then he did a couple episodes of Sleepy Hollow, the TV show on Fox,
Okay.
which was pretty good. So he did more TV show stuff later on. The cinematographer and director of photography, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he did a lot of stuff. I mean, he worked on the first Mortal Kombat, Child's Play 3, The Mask with Jim Carrey, Spy Hard with Leslie Nielsen, Detroit Rock City, which I love that movie. I think it's so funny. The first two Insidious movies, so those were pretty
Oh,
big.
yeah.
The Conjuring, I mean, so had some good like
Credits.
side piece people
Yeah.
that like worked on the movie that did big things later on. Um, see. Really fun fact. This was actually the first role on IMDb credits for Ray Park, who plays Darth Maul in episode
Okay.
one. He has been, I think he was just at the time he's always been a martial artist, but he was like just getting into film and stunt work and stuff. He actually played Raiden's stunt double in
I wondered
Annihilation. So
about that. I
yeah,
really did. Okay.
that's his first, you can kinda tell too, Ray Park has that, like, especially when he
Big
poses for
jaw, like
yeah, he poses for different martial arts, like, stances and stuff. You
mhm.
can kinda tell his work, so I thought that was cool, and then, Michael Jai White, who played, Spawn in 1997, he was also in The Dark Knight, and he's had a long career, Black Dynamite. Um, he was supposed to play Jax in Annihilation, but he got recast, but then he did get to play Jax. There's actually, believe it or not, there's another live action, it's like a short web series of Mortal
Okay.
Kombat. I remember the Blu-ray came out at the video store, but it's like a bunch of short films in the same Mortal Kombat universe. And there was a couple of episodes of that had Jax, and Michael Jai White got to play Jax in that. So it's pretty cool. Bridget Wilson actually turned down Sonya Blade for that movie because she had to go play Sarah Michelle Gellar's sister, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. So
Okay.
she
Yeah.
had a reason for turning it down. So she
Mhm.
picked probably the better better
100%.
movie of the
Yeah.
two. So but yeah, that's pretty much all I got for that. I mean, still watch it. Watch it with friends. You can kind of just
Laugh
like
at it,
goof
yeah,
off and
yeah,
yeah, it's just you can think about the times in the '90s when we weren't so blessed with special effects and good storytelling and all that stuff.
yep. Very cool. All right, Zeke. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
That's
you,
all we've
Zeke.
got for Zeke. Anything else you want to say about the Mortal Kombat movies?
Goodbye.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Really
Annihilation.
good movie. Cheese, cheese, and more cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I like
Thanks,
cheese.
bud. Yes. All right.
Zeke,
You
so funny.
always love it. Always love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of does it for the PG-13 versions. We're going to spend just a few more minutes talking about the rated R version that came out in 2020. Man, this one was epic.
Oh yeah.
This one did such a great job of telling a good, compelling story, good acting, solid battles and fights. Really felt like it was taking itself seriously in the good sense, and just the way that it used the special moves and the things like that was just all perfect. The way it set up the story, the way that it even introduced the spear in the very beginning was just so great. But yeah, I mean, basically the story is that Sub-Zero and Scorpion are basically been at odds with each other for a very long time, and now there's this this opportunity that again Shao Kahn is going to come and take over, and they have to stop him with the bringing in the human fighters to help stop him, and and they each end up having a kind of a Mortal Kombat tattoo that kind of is born on them that signifies them as chosen ones for the battle. And we have returning characters with Jax, Sonya Blade, Scorpion, Raiden, and everybody else, Sub-Zero also. And then Reptile. We didn't talk about him in the first couple of movies, but he was also in the first Mortal Kombat movie. I think he makes an appearance in this one as well. But anyway, it's a great film. Kind of set up the same similar way. They have to train to fight for this tournament to save the Earth realm from the Outer realm, and they come in, and there's a lot of funny jokes, funny homages to the video game, like Kano wins and finish him. They had some of those lines in there, and a couple of finishing moves that took place. So yeah, pretty cool. Really enjoyable. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, just like what you said. I mean, this one obviously is way more realistic and way more like accurate to the video games.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the brutality and the violence is great. The opening sequence is so good. I mean, it it doesn't even feel like a Mortal Kombat. Like it doesn't feel like it's setting you up for a Mortal Kombat movie. It just kind of feels. It reminds me a lot, not exactly the same, but it reminds me of the beginning of Shang-Chi, Legend of the Seven Rings or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I love that movie for the Marvel movies, but yeah, just the way that it's set up, the family people are trying to,
Mm-hmm.
take over their little community and stuff. Um, but what's his name? Hiroyuki Sanada, who won a Golden Globe last year or I think it was 2 years ago for Shogun.
Yes. Yeah.
He plays
Scorpion.
well, yeah, Hanzo Hasashi, who is Scorpion, and he's fantastic in anything he does. He actually, it's funny. I guess he said when he got the role to prepare for it, he played a bunch of Mortal Kombat, and he joked that he like kept losing like every. He's like, I never could beat it, but he's like, I learned all this stuff, so it's cool. But yeah, he's really cool. And in the beginning scene, he uses the tool that like Scorpion is known for basically, but Scorpion has it kind of like in his body,
Mm-hmm.
but you get to see like kind of how that originated.
Mm-hmm.
So they used it mainly. Ninjas liked it a lot apparently because it was lightweight, and it's just a sharp little blade on a edge of a rope, um, and he kind of like makeshifts this weapon in the beginning of the film. Really awesome scene,
Mm-hmm.
fight sequence between him and some like ninjas, and then like him and Sub-Zero, and like and then we get the fight later on between the two of them as the actual characters, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, they nailed all the character. We got to see, I forget which character has the blade hat.
Yes. Yeah.
But like
Kano, I
that was a
think.
really popular, like people would always pick him because of his finish move was like, I think they did it shot for shot in the movie.
Mhm.
He gets to do his finishing move where he spins his hat and it like saws someone in half. And
Yeah.
one of the most outrageous scenes that I was rewatching it again this week, and I forgot how cool crazy it was. Is when Jax gets his arms back fully as like
Mhm.
the big. And he he straight up smashes that guy's head.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot about that scene. That's crazy.
Even the way that he lost his arms was super gruesome,
Yeah,
and
it's
Sub-Zero
nuts.
grabs him and, like, freezes his
Yeah,
arms and rips them off, and, like
And then throws him on the off the building.
yeah.
And then in the Jax and Sub-Zero fight, apparently there's a wall that has it has down arrow, right arrow, LP spray painted on it, which
Nice.
was Sub-Zero's like freeze move, but
Yep.
back in the old, in the back one. So they had little nods here and there. Goro comes back for this one.
Mhm.
I think Goro out of the original movie was like the best visual effects, obviously, for that movie. And I remember being a kid and being like, it looks so real, so cool. And they kind of did it in this one too, but it was more digitized in this one. But still awesome. And we got some new characters. We got some like the main character Cole. They created him, his backstory, kind of just for this movie. Um, but I think they did a nice job. I mean, it paid homage. Like I said, my buddy Ray, he's a diehard Mortal Kombat fan, and he enjoyed the '90s ones. But I remember when this was coming out, I was sending him all the new trailers, and he's like, "Man, this looks so good. I hope it's really good." And he said he loved it when it came out, so it was good for the fans. It came out in a weird time too because we were like
Yeah.
almost post pandemic, and HBO was still doing non-theaters. They were like sending them straight to HBO Max. So I remember, I mean, it was cool for people who didn't want to go out and stuff. You could just watch the new releases when they hit HBO. So I remember watching it when that first weekend it came out, and I thought it was fun. I mean, it's got the blood and gore that people love from the games, and all the characters look the part, and
Yeah.
I'm just so amped that we're getting Johnny Cage in this one, the next one, but I mean, can't think of anybody better than Carl Urban, so I'm
Absolutely.
really excited I think I've heard the early reviews, test screenings that people said Carl's one of the best parts of the movie, so
That's
I can't
awesome.
wait.
Yeah. Yeah, such a fun Leo, is the guy that had the hat. Leo Khan or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to keep track of all their names. All their names kind of run
There's
together.
just too many
Kano,
characters.
Kang, Kano, like it's like Sonya Blade, Lao, Liu. It's tough to kind of keep up just because they added so many characters in the later games. I mean,
Right.
so many different ones. But yeah, just yeah, I agree. Just a great film, great fun. Kind of that hero's journey, like being a little bit like resistant to like, I don't know what all this is about, and he's got to find his aura, he's got to find his thing so he can overcome the bad guy. I mean, it's got some good heart there, and then like you said, all the visuals, kind of taking the game mechanics and the things we liked about the game and putting them in the movie. The one thing I thought was like there was one scene in particular with Sub-Zero where it's raining outside and he freezes the entire rain. He freezes a bullet that's coming at him. He freezes the bullet and it slows down and stops right in front of his face. I mean, Sub-Zero in this movie is like
really
a
cool
boss. Like he's insane. So that was a lot of
Kano's
fun
really
to
good too. That stood out. The guy, I don't remember the actor's name, but Australian guy, but he
yeah.
played. I think his little quips and his
Mhm.
one-liners were because they did it a little in the '90s one, and that actor was good, but this
Yeah.
one they just kind of gave him more, free reign, and
Mhm.
some of his one-liners were so funny. But I think Kano
Absolutely.
was one of the better characters in the movie in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I I can't remember the show that I watched him on, but I first saw him on the show. It had Kristen Bell and Rhodey.
Oh, I can't remember the name of that show either.
Something about lies. House of Lies.
Oh, House of Lies. Yeah.
House of Lies. Yeah, Kristen
Yeah.
Bell.
I still never saw that, but yeah.
Don
I heard it was good.
Cheadle. And this guy played Josh Lawson, who played
Yeah.
Kano. That's what I just
Very good.
when he came on scene, I was like, oh, I know that guy. But yeah, he did a great hit because in that show he's real reserved and real kind of a doofus, and to see
Right.
him kind of play this tough guy, and be super believable was really cool. Really cool to see that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the new one.
Yeah, I
It
can't
looks
wait.
like Johnny Cage is being brought into this. He's like, what is this? I don't want to be a part
Right.
of this, so he's resistant, and then he's got the reluctant hero, I guess,
Yeah.
so it's going to be good. So go
Looks
see it.
fun.
Go
Yeah.
see it in the theater this weekend. Go to the theater.
Yeah, support the box office.
Yes, we need to keep movies alive, and it's this
Yes.
podcast that's going to do it.
Right.
We're going to do it. Our fan base is going to do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy the movie this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to jump over to our website, moviestomakeyoupodcast.com, see all of our links. Follow us on Instagram so you never miss an episode, a live stream, or an interview. And until next time, keep watching movies.